Welcome everybody to yet another Coffee Time with Hako, the show where I have my morning coffee and then I up off into the void. Well met everybody. Today we have a very exciting topic. You've been excited about her, I've been excited about her. Today we're going to be talking about Orphie. I've not played her for 24 hours on the creative beta servers, and it's become a little bit of a tradition whenever I play the character for a day. I'll have some coffee and I'll also summarize my initial impressions of the character. I'm here to give you the good, the bad, what I like, what I don't like. Now, important to note for this is that this comes from the creative beta servers, so changes might apply before she goes live, and also once I get to learn even more about the character and master them properly, my opinions might also change. And if anything changes, I promise I'll tell you all about it. Also everybody, this is Casca. She is growing so freaking much. Today we've been out in the forest and we've been gathering up some mushrooms. But yeah, she has doubled in size during the last month. Maybe even tripled. Absolutely insane. Hey Casca. So, who is Orphie? Well, I should say who is Orphie and Magus, because you get two characters in one. The tail is alive, it has its own personality, and then Orphie is the redhead girl, which the tail is attached to. What sets Orphie apart from other attackers is that Orphie continues to have a presence on the field after she's switched out. We've seen this from other specialty, a lot of it stunners like Trigger, Yufufu, but now for the first time ever we have an attacker that will pop in even if they're not the active character. So once every 4 seconds when we hit an enemy, Orphie will come in and do a follow-up attack. This is classed as an aftershock attack, and so is every other move that Orphie has. She is very much aftershock personified. And if she has 60 energy or more once she does a follow-up attack, she will also cast an EX special attack. Now Orphie has 4 different EX special attacks, and I'll go over them all in my upcoming guide. Now if you're feeling up for doing a third of the damage, we can also manually do Orphie's EX special attack, but don't. So if she casts it herself once she has enough energy as an off-field follow-up attack, it will do 3 times more damage than if we manually do it. So always let Orphie handle it. And I think that this might come as a little bit of a disappointment to some, where we don't actually play Orphie that much. She mostly plays herself, in a similar manner to Trigger and Yufufu, maybe slightly more interactive. The gameplay loop of Orphie is convert her energy into her special resource called Bottled Heat. Once she has enough Bottled Heat, we can switch into Orphie, hold the EX special attack button, and she will start charging her laser. Also, when the laser hits an enemy, a team-wide buff will be applied. This buff goes up to 700 attack and it scales off her own energy regen. Now, surprise surprise, we need her own W engine in order to max this buff out, otherwise we're missing 25% of it, which is the equivalent of 180 attacks, so not the end of the world. The buff lasts for 12 seconds base kit, but if we do aftershocks with other agents, we can extend this buff. Now, I've seen some people talk about this extension wrong. It is worded a little bit weird. Some people say that the max duration is 20. It's not. We can add on 20 extra seconds to make it a total of 32 seconds. But the requirement is that we need to have agents that can do aftershock attacks, otherwise the buff stays at 12 seconds. And the buff is counted individual, so say that you have Orphie, Zombie and Trigger in a team. Trigger's aftershock attacks will extend the duration of Trigger's own buff, but Zombie needs to do her own aftershock attacks in order to extend it on herself. So we have a very good and potent buff that without aftershock attacks only lasts for 12 seconds, and quite frankly you have a very bad uptime with it. But with aftershock agents in the team, we can make it to one of the longest lasting buffs in the game. So 12 versus 32. So Orphie is an aftershock agent through and through. In aftershock teams, she is extremely deadly. Outside of aftershock, so say that you pair her with Astra and Lighter, Evelyn will get you better results. But in an aftershock team, she is very strong. Now, when I did my 24-hour video on Seed, I gave her a 5 out of 10 as kind of an overall score. She felt a little bit clunky and she felt like something was missing. I later changed the score up from a 6 out of 10 once I gotten more accustomed to her, like I started enjoying her slightly more. Orphie does not feel clunky at all, and I personally really enjoy the quick swaps playstyle. My one gripe, my one biggest gripe, is that I don't super much feel like I'm playing Orphie. She is, more a sub DPS. And I will say that she's a lot more like shoehorned into a specific niche if you compare her to Evelyn, which kind of works a lot more broadly, with more engines, with more teams, etc. But early impressions, strength, enjoyment, etc., I'm willing to give Orphie a 7 out of 10. With the caveat that if you have an Aftershock team, in Aftershock teams 7 out of 10, outside of Aftershock teams 5. So kinda just like with Seed, Orphie has a specific playstyle and she has a very few select teammates that can benefit out of this playstyle. With the specific teammates that do benefit her playstyle, she feels very strong and she feels very amazing to play. So let's talk teams. The absolute strongest team that I've found for her currently is Orphie, Seed, and Trigger. Now, remembering my Seed videos that it feels like Seed was missing something, yeah, she was missing Orphie. Playstyle-wise, they feel really good to use, but Orphie's buff, which I said only lasts 12 seconds, Seed has no way of extending this buff. So you have to plan your buff windows very carefully, make sure that they line up together with the stun window, etc. Orphie and Seed obviously buff each other, and Trigger benefits out of Orphie's buff and she can extend it for herself. The team itself has some certain lack of synergy. Seed wants her under attacker to be active when they spend their energy in order for her to transform it into her steel charge, and she cannot extend Orphie's buff, but it is still a very potent team. The second best team I've found together with Orphie as of right now has been Soldier Zero Ambi, Orphie, and Trigger. And in their current state, they are super close. Soldier Zero Ambi is also probably getting buffs on the next patch, so I would assume that they will jump ahead when that time comes. What's great about this team is that Soldier Zero Ambi, Trigger, and Orphie, they all buff each other. And quite frankly, I would say that that is the intended team for Orphie. Soldier Zero Ambi and Trigger as of currently. Trigger was already capable of doing an insane amount of damage if she was paired up together with Zombie. Now we slap on Orphie's buffs on Trigger as well, and they all pull their own weight in this team, it's almost like a 33-33-33 split. And I can only hope that the team will be even more potent and feel even better played together after Zombie has gotten her buffs. And for Seed specifically, Orphie as a teammate to Seed, I've seen an increase of around 7,000 in Deadly Assault score. So, for example, if I was getting 44,000 with Soldier Zero Ambi and Seed on Corruption Complex, I take out Zombie, I put in Orphie, I'm looking at 50 to 51. And if you don't have Trigger, Pulchra can be a good substitute for Trigger. Another good substitute is Yufufu. She pairs well together with the 2-attacker meta formula, and she also has Aftershock attacks. Now, if you want Orphie to feel really great, really strong, you want Aftershock teammates, you can also get through content running Astra lighter, but like I said, you will get lesser scores doing that than if it was Evelyn doing the same. And important, in an Orphie team, she doesn't want to be on the field. She doesn't want to be the active character. So she needs to be paired up with another on-field agent, like Soldier Zero Ambi or Seed, for example. Now, should she be paired up with other attackers that doesn't have Aftershock attacks? Not really. So much of Orphie's kit will be lost, and the buff uptime is gonna be almost non-existent, so you'll be better running a stunner or support. Now, as for W engine, they haven't made it official yet exactly what it does. I'll have to be a little bit vague. But let me put it like this, she'll be the first attacker for which energy regen is very important, so her own signature engine does something for her that no other engine does. Her engine is important, it correlates to her buff uptime, to her buff strength, and her overall damage. And you will see a lot more EX special attacks, a lot more reapply a buff, and a lot more heavy hitting attacks with her engine. And it also helps out when it comes to building her stat-wise. Now, the engine is also useless on any character that isn't Orphie. Now, since I've only played Orphie for a day, I haven't gotten to properly test out all of the other engines yet, but some of the runner-uppers are Heartstring Nocturne or Severed Innocence. But Orphie very much looks like a character that will benefit a lot from their own engine. As for the disc sets, 4-piece Shadow Harmony seems to be her best one. For the 2-piece, we want Swing Jazz, or we want a 2-piece of the new support set. We're after the energy region. So if you want to pre-farm disc for her, go out and farm Shadow Harmony and any of the energy region 2 pieces. And for number 4, crit rate, crit damage. For number 5, fire damage or attack percentage. And for number 6, energy region. Can you get away with running attack? Yes, but I would advise against it. 1, you will be nerfing her team-wide buff, like you won't be able to cap this one out without her engine and energy on number 6. Number 2, uptime of the buff. The more energy we give Orphie, the faster we'll be able to reapply her buff, and also the faster we'll be able to do her hard-hitting attack, which is her laser that she charges up. Energy region is your friend when it comes to Orphie. So, final thoughts when it comes to Orphie. She is quite fun, she is unique, and she feels like the missing link to what the Aftershock teams were missing. And running her together with Soldier Serum Ambi and Trigger, for example, where they're all just hyper buffing each other, and they're all, kinda doing the same amount of lifting. It is a lot of fun, a lot of quick, a lot of switching. I really like the playstyle. Now, as for some gripes I have with her, number 1, kinda same as Yufufu or, Trigger, I don't super much feel like I'm playing her in the same way that I feel like I am playing Evelyn. And she is also quite restricted in her team building. Slap her in with Aftershock agents and you have one of the absolute strongest teams in the game. Outside of that, it's really hard to find a team that feels good with her. Also worth noting is that her best teammates is Soldier Serum Ambi and Trigger. 2 electric agents, and Orphie herself is fire. Electric and fire have a really hard time finding an encounter where that's incentivized, because anything that's weak to electric is usually resistant to fire, or vice versa. And currently in the Assault we only have 2 bosses that are weak to fire. One of them is Anomaly Focused Pompeii, where we're meant to bring Anomaly agents, so not incentivized for that reason. And then we have the other version of Pompeii, which is resistant to electric. Now I could theorize that perhaps we will get such enemies in the future, but who knows. So Orphie is great if you have other Aftershock agents on your account. Outside of Aftershock, so if you're lacking Trigger and Soldier Serum Ambi, unless you really want Orphie, I would maybe consider skipping, because she doesn't feel that great outside of it. Me personally, I skipped Seed unless we get her if I do one of these. So I skipped Seed. I will not be skipping Orphie. My plan right now is to pick up an Orphie. And I will be running my Orphie together with Trigger and Soldier Serum Ambi. Now, if I was lacking Trigger and Soldier Serum Ambi, I would not be going for Orphie, because outside of Aftershock she doesn't do too much. Outside of Aftershock, Evelyn has her beat. More flexible with her teammates and with her engine. So yeah everybody, this has gone on for long enough. These are my initial impressions of Orphie on the creator servers after having tried her out for 24 hours. They might change her before she goes live, and my opinions might change when I try her out even more. More Orphie content will be coming, showcases, guides, etc, so remember to subscribe to not miss those. And also before she's out, I'll make a video just like this, but after having tried her out even more, and do a more extensive deep dive in when you should pull and not pull, etc. So stay tuned for that. But overall, I would say that I'm very pleased with Orphie on the creator server. She is fun, lovely animations, and I feel like this time what they were going for, they hit the mark. So everybody, let me know your thoughts down below. Also, for anybody interested, I would recommend popping into the Discord. I take questions whenever I test out a character, over there, so I can find out more, what do people want to know about the character before they come out, and I try to answer as many as possible. Link to the Discord is in the description. Also, link to the Zenless merch store if you want to pick up some Zenless swag. Everybody, as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Hako out.
Oh, I wish that you could just take it easy. Lay back, fast the way I roll. So get off my tail, or else you will get to say